I'm sad because I've run out of YouTuber intros to kind of steal. So, what is up, guys? And welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're back for career mode episode number 92 of this My Team journey. And we're heading to the Singapore Grand Prix, a much needed venue for today's episode because this is a circuit which usually favors the player, and I need a good result to go my way. We're currently 12 points down on Max Verstappen in the driver's standings. I've got Lando Norris nipping at my heels, and Alexander Albon, who heading into this episode isn't all there as a major threat at this stage, but when you look at the performance index, you'll see that Mercedes have had a massive uptake in performance. We'll get to that in just a second. Fast forwarding all of the activities in the timeline to get to the Singapore Grand Prix on the 17th, and here we are. Mercedes with a big upgrade there. I think that's either a major or an ultimate that has leapfrogged them ahead of Red Bull. So now Max Verstappen not only has his hands full with Marduk Motorsport, but now he's going to have to contest with Mercedes, Albon, but probably not Bottas. Bottas has been shocking this season. He's only got like 40 odd points. So yeah, the job for Verstappen becomes that little bit more difficult, and for us, I'm hoping that Albon can get in the way of Verstappen this weekend and we can gain even more points. It's not got off to the best start, as well, I only did one program in practice 1. I took it a little bit more seriously in practice 2 with a new setup, and it actually got us ahead of Lando, so that's interesting to see both of us kind of down the order a little bit in practice. We normally are up there in all sessions of the weekend, but especially Lando, to see him not really showcasing his true pace is very interesting. But yeah, in the background, I did a ultimate chassis balance upgrade, which will go on in time for the next episode. So I'm looking forward to that. Alright then, let's get into it. The Singapore Grand Prix for qualifying, and like I've harped on about for this episode, but also the last one, this is a must-win event for us. Yeah, we're 12 points down in the championship with a lot of tracks where I'm not too sure how I'm going to go pace-wise. I know there's one other track I know that I can win at, and that's Mexico, but the others, I think it's going to be a real struggle with the likes of Mercedes and Red Bull still not at their ceiling yet in terms of upgrades. If they upgrade further, then we're really going to be under pressure. We're already struggling to manage them, managing to beat them each round as it is, even with the best car. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Last episode, by the way, in Monza was crazy. We had some very surprise results. People in cars that were much slower than ours with supreme pace. So, yeah, you just can't really take any round for granted. You've really got to be on the ball every single time. And so, I've just got to make sure I'm at the front and can challenge the race leaders. We can't show up to these Grand Prix starting at the back end of the top 10 or, hell, even outside of the top 10 like we have been sometimes. We need to be at the front to be able to challenge these guys. The pace from the AI at this life span of the career mode is insane. You can't give them an inch because, yeah, they're just rapidly quick. But anyway, Q2 is underway. This is the end of the session, and we caught up to Kevin Magnussen right at the end of our lap, but thankfully it doesn't prevent us from getting into the next session, even with a lot of dirty air. I left him a lot of space, by the way. I left him like 3 or 4 seconds at least, and I still caught up to that Alfa Romeo. That was bloody ridiculous. But we just squeezed ourselves into the next session. We're only 2/10 away from the best time of the weekend, but yet I still kind of felt at risk there. That's how close this field is. So, if we do another season, then like everyone is going to be front-running pace, and anyone could win races, anyone could get pole positions, and certainly anyone could get podiums. It's yeah, really interesting. dynamic. Everyone just seems to be taking points off of everyone at this stage. And so just being consistent in this career mode is everything. But anyway, we move into Q3 now. And the banker time that I did was a 29.9 at Singapore. We're doing laps under 90 seconds here. I remember back to the days of like F1 2010 when the lap times were like in the 1 minute 40s, mid 40s or something. We're like 13 seconds faster now with upgraded 2020 cars. This is incredible. Just how fast these cars are. The road comes at you so quickly that sometimes, I don't know, it's easy to make mistakes and the car is going a lot faster. Like you saw at that hairpin, I bowled a massive wobbly there and I cost myself a little bit of time. But we are still up on our previous best lap. We've been demoted down to P3 as Norris and Russell have improved on their times. We're going through the final corner now to see if we can snatch pole position in this Singapore Grand Prix. We come across the line and it's not good enough. George Russell has stolen pole position in the Ferrari, which, if you look at the performance index, is a car that is not worthy of being on the front row of the grid. Like, they should only just be squeezing through into Q3, but they've absolutely stolen it here in Singapore.
All right, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race.
Here we go then, it's Formula One in Marina Bay once again, and welcome to all of you at home who join us today for this fascinating race around the baking hot, horribly humid, but very beautiful streets of Singapore. We have a high risk of a safety car here today as the abundance of tight corners mixed with these wet conditions could put a few cars off into the barriers. 23 turns then, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, make up the 3.1 mile lap of Marina Bay. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Day. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and Day completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, and Albon, Vettel, Sainz, Ocon, and Daniel Kvyat, Aitken, Magnussen, Charles Leclerc, and Ricciardo, Gasly, Stroll, Antoine Hubert, and Antonio Giovinazzi, De Vries, Schumacher, Matsushita, and Nicholas Latifi. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
And it's effing raining again. But this time, it's a level playing field. Everyone must use the intermediate tyre, unlike Monza qualifying. Welcome to the grid of the Singapore Grand Prix. Yeah, this is a major spanner in the works. We were fast in the dry, not so sure about the wet. We are lucky in the fact that the way that you have to set up the car for Singapore with the high downforce means that this setup should work in the wet. The only thing we have to manage will be the oversteering nature of my setup. As long as I can get on top of that, we should be okay. But here we go for 5 red lights for the Singapore Grand Prix, a crucial round in the championship. And we are underway with a lot of wheel spin off the line. George Russell getting off to a great start. And there goes Lando Norris as we go down into turn 1. That was maybe a misjudgment of my braking there down into turn 1, but you got to cut me a bit of slack. This is the first time all weekend that we're running in wet weather conditions. I'm literally having to find my feet on the fly compared to AI, who are perfect right from the get-go. So this is going to take me a little bit of time to get used to get my bearings right, to see how much grip there is in this car. But meanwhile, we can see Verstappen is under attack from Albon straight away, and he actually gets the position. So that is absolutely crucial for our championship crusade. Verstappen only has 10 points against his name as things stand currently. So we finished P2. That's good points gained on Verstappen. However, we want to win. We need to win. And so a 15-point gain would be absolutely monumental in this race. And the only person standing in our way is George Russell. And maybe the weather. But apart from that, this win is out there for us to grab. And the fact that we're already putting pressure at the end of lap 1 on George Russell is a good sign. But we've got good pace in these conditions. So I think we're only going to get stronger. I'm only going to get a better feel of what this car can do in these conditions. We're getting close to George Russell as we head into the hairpin here. But nothing quite doing. This is a very rear limited circuit in the best of times in the dry, let alone in the wet. You're really having to manage the throttle. Make sure you minimize the wheel spin at all costs. And with no traction control on, it is quite the task to undertake. So, yeah, just constantly nursing the rear tires. This is going to be a very frustrating Grand Prix because it's the longest one of the calendar. It's such a long circuit and so many laps. You're having to be at full concentration for such a long time. And that's an early mistake for us. We get a bit of wheel spin onto this first straight. And that actually allows my teammate Lando Norris to get up the inside and into P2. Meanwhile, my engineer was warning me about the engine wear for the ICE, which is actually at 51%. So, that's a double whammy for us. We've lost P2, but we've also lost critical horsepower, peak output performance from this engine because it's ticked over halfway. So, the hill that we've had to climb has just kind of turned into a mountain now, as we've got to get past our rapid teammate in equal machinery. Oh my goodness, Lando, what was that? What was that? Was that a brake check from my teammate? Just after getting into P2 and like on the apex of the corner when you should be accelerating out of there, he held the brake. He held the brake. That's ridiculous. I don't think my teammate would intentionally brake check his boss, his teammate, his team owner. But that was rather weird behavior from Lando right there. We did lose a small couple of fragments of our front wing, but that shouldn't be a performance loss. It was on the floor of the front wing, so hopefully we'll be okay to press on. But that is rather annoying. The set of circumstances which we've had to face over the last couple of laps. So we're going to try and get past him if we can. Thankfully, George Russell is still in the lead in that Ferrari, driving within himself. I don't know. The Ferrari, we know, based on performance, isn't the fastest car in the field. It's kind of like a midfield car, but somehow he's got himself in the lead on pole position, and he's actually containing Lando Norris. He's bringing me back into the fight as we go up the inside into the hairpin. We nearly drill George Russell in the process, and Lando actually gets me back on the traction zone of this back straight. So there we go. The fight for the ages is emerging here in this Singapore Grand Prix. Marduk Motorsports Civil War might be on the brink of happening with the amount that we're having to race each other, not only for this race, but in the context of this championship. Verstappen is down in P5, and there are big points to be gained for one of us. We both want the win desperately for our own championship hopes. We lead the constructors at this point. We can ill afford to come together as we go down into turn 1, and I nearly drill my teammate right then and there. I think I just need to calm down a little bit. I realize that there's a massive opportunity to win this race and, in a way, secure my 3rd title in this career mode campaign. But if I come together with my teammate and Verstappen gets promoted to the podium, then the championship is all over. I really just need to calm it down a little bit and be patient. We've still got 24 laps in this race, if you count this lap. So there's a lot left to play out. We can still work our way ahead of our teammates by virtue of strategy, maybe. Given that it's a one-stop, we can either go for a massive undercut or we could potentially overcut and chase him down to the end. Either or, I think we've got a big opportunity to still win this race. With George Russell still in the lead anything is possible. But if Lando gets out in clear air in the lead, then it might be game over. So I'm trying to approach this now with a bit of controlled aggression. This time, if we go for a move, it won't be so desperate. But we're getting very close here into the Anderson Bridge, into the hairpin. We're going to go up the inside. And I've not gone in deep enough. And we've made contact with Lando. We've got front wing damage. That's the last thing I wanted. That is the absolute last thing we wanted. And we've allowed George Russell now to get away into the lead. Here's the replay. Like I said, I went for the complete opposite approach. I didn't want to go for a desperate lunge. I went for a calm move up the inside. I didn't brake late enough. And in the end, Lando hasn't seen me. He's turned in and we've crunched the front wing. So our race very much is compromised now in this Singapore Grand Prix. And we're going to have to, well, either change the front wing or brave it out, tough it out on this lime green damage that we've got at this stage. So there it is right there. It's half between green and yellow, which means we're probably going to see a performance loss of about 2 or 3 tenths a lap. Especially, at least, at this track in the rain. So it's going to be tough. We did actually get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix last time by, which actually is a major confidence boost. I was actually really worried that we wouldn't have any pace after the front wing damage. I nearly panicked and boxed straight away for a front wing change, but I decided to stick it out and just see what the damage was. And the fact that we went fastest means that we are still in the fight to win this race, especially with George Russell still there in the picture. This is working out wonderfully for us. We can either go for an undercut right now or very soon, or we could do a massive overcut and charge towards everyone with fresh tyres. Here's a retirement for Nicholas Latifi in the Haas. This could be a major opportunity for us if there's a safety car or VSC or anything in between. But unfortunately, the Codemasters stewards, being that which they are, have fallen asleep and have not called anything. So it looks like we're not going to get any safety car interference. It is my box lap now. And I, at this point, am going to do the opposite to what the race leaders do. If Lando boxes, I stay out. But if they stay out at the end of this lap, I'm boxing for a new set of tyres. And actually, I'm starting to feel the effects of tyre wear now. As you can see, the rear end spinning out on traction zones. And then here into this 90-degree right-hander, I locked up the front tyres and went pretty much straight on. So I am going to do the opposite, and I am actually going to box at the end of this lap. So that was crucial for the race leaders. They've stayed out an extra lap. We're going to go for the undercut. We're not going to change the front wing. Because we're going for the undercut, we can actually get track position. And I'm going to park the bus for the rest of this race with front wing damage and see if I can win this race. Basically, what I've got to do, once I make this pit stop, I've got to push like hell. This has to be a qualifying lap or qualifying laps, depending on how long the race leaders stay out. But I don't think it's going to be long because everyone else basically is into the pit lane. Bottas and Vettel, the number 2 drivers essentially at their respective teams, got preferential treatment over Verstappen and Albon, interestingly enough. But I anticipate that the undercut is going to be pretty massive at this circuit, given how long the lap is and how long we've been on these tyres, over halfway into the race now. We should be able to emerge in the lead of this Singapore Grand Prix, even with the front wing damage. George Russell could potentially win us this race by being slow out there in the lead, throwing dirty air towards my teammate Lando Norris. We basically fast-forwarded to the end of this lap. We put in a purple middle sector, which is all you can ask for. The race leaders are now in. George Russell for Ferrari onto a new set of intermediate tyres. Lando Norris onto a new set of intermediate tyres, as is Alexander Albon. The name's mixed up there. Don't know how. But, yeah, Lando rejoins in effective P2. Could be effective P3. As it was, heading into the pit lane. We're coming out now. There's the race leaders on the left-hand side. We are going to get the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix. All because of the undercut. What a strategy that is right there. The AI have absolutely fallen asleep here today. And there's the happy weave. We lead the Singapore Grand Prix with 14 laps to go. What a day this could turn out to be. And we're actually going purple as well on this lap. We're actually managing to pull away from George Russell. So that wonder lap that George Russell put in to get himself in pole position, to get himself into the lead, has kind of all been for nothing because he's not had the pace in the wet to maintain the lead of the Grand Prix. We've edged out a 5-second lead now in this middle stint. Make that 6 seconds pretty much as we set another fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But, you know, after that, that was pretty much the race, guys. I got out a 6-second lead. You can see here, I'm still pushing to try and get away from those behind because you never know what might happen later. It might go to full wet conditions. But you know what? In the end, it didn't. It stayed right under the threshold of needing to go to full wets the whole race. And the lead, coincidentally, never really got any larger than 7 seconds. I had a really big pace advantage for the first 5 or 6 laps of my interstint. But after that, things really leveled out. And if anything, in the last like 2 or 3 laps, the pace advantages swung back into George Russell and Lando Norris's favor. So I was quite lucky in the end there to bridge out the massive gap, because if they were on my tail right now, I'd be very nervous. But anyway, here we go through the final corner. This is going to be a pretty momentous win for Marduk Motorsport. Today, we are back in the fight. What a day for the career mode. What a day for the championship. This is a big swing in the championship. We'll get all the goss on that in just a second. But here's the race results. P1 with front wing damage. That is a really tough win. I honestly, I don't know how we did that. We managed to pull off the undercut, and somehow, even with the damage, we pulled away from George Russell, who, I don't know, he's been an enigma all weekend. Coming out of nowhere in Q3 and getting himself pole position, controlling the race for the first half, allowing me to stay in the fight, containing Lando, has been monumental today. And in the end, we get a big swing in the championship. We now shoot to the lead over Max Verstappen. 4 points is the difference. Lando Norris 14 behind now. He gained some points on Verstappen, so this definitely is a three-way fight. Albon with the fastest car now. Well, not fastest car. That's very inaccurate. With massive upgrades to Mercedes, Albon could well be a threat in the races to come as well. So I wouldn't discount anybody in this championship apart from Bottas. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Career Mode. Like I said, a monumental win. I don't know when the last win was this season. I feel like it's been a little while now. So a much earned win, a desperate win we needed. And like I said, it puts us back in the fight for this championship with a lot of rounds coming up where I'm not too sure where we're going to sit on pace. So to be in the box seat at this stage, to have the points advantage, is massive for us. So I've got to really do my homework and put in the hours and like actually be at a really high level driving wise to be able to win this championship. It's actually reinvigorated me, reinvigorated my passion for uploading these videos. The difficulties that we've had to face has actually just made me really motivated to keep doing this series again, as well as your continued support. It's been really awesome to still be challenged in a way 5 seasons into this career mode when essentially we've done everything that we've set out to do. We've won championships, we've won races, we've won the respect of other teams in the world of F1 in this my team save, but still we find new challenges to overcome. And for that, I have really appreciated F1 2020. But guys, that's this video for today. The fight, in a way, has only just begun. So that's the task. To beat Max Verstappen, to beat our teammate, to beat Albon. There are threats everywhere. So we're definitely going to have our hands full for the rest of this season. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys for the next episode of Career Mode.